The way he angles his body, where he puts all of his body weight on his left hand and just extends just enough to just scrape the pylon. Those are the plays that decide Super Bowls. That's why every single time, I always talk about it, guys, at the beginning of the season, if the team is just good enough around Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That isn't something that should just be done every week. No one in the history of football makes plays like this every week outside of Patrick Mahomes.
I want to thank all the talking heads and all the doubt.
Yep.
Keep it coming. Like, all it does is anytime you can give petty Mahomes the motivation, bro, I'm all for it. That's why I was excited when, all these people were saying these things. It's like, bro, let's go.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling boosted and juiced by it, can you imagine what he's feeling?
We are live, and it is time. It is Chattin'up the Chiefs postgame show with your host, Lance Twidwell. I'm also joined here by my guys, Trevor Twidwell.
That's good.
And the 9-year NFL veteran, Vaughn Booker. Vaughn, Trevor, I'm going to try to be as short and concise as I possibly can about this one. I would love to hear what the chat has to say on this one as well, because I'm in a position where I have to be really careful on some of the things that I say here, because and I know Book feels the same way. We talked to him right before the show started. He's pissed off. I think we're all a little pissed off for a lot of reasons, because of the fact that first and foremost, the Chiefs came out in this game on the defensive side, showed no heart. This was the easiest game that Jordan Love's probably ever had in his career, and he's had some easy ones over just the last month. And the Packers offense was doing whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, on the ground, in the air. This defense looked lost. And I know Drew Tranquill went out with a concussion. Brian Cook went down with an ankle injury. Amenahill got banged up. Justin Reed got banged up. This defense got banged up tonight. There's no doubt about that. But even on the first drive, when everybody was still healthy, it looked easy. It's a scripted drive. I get that. And Matt LaFleur, to his credit, an offensive genius. Dude knows his way around an offense. Him, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, all came from that same coaching tree. They're all bright guys. This was unacceptable. The pressure was not there early and often. You saw Jordan Love very comfortable in the pocket in that first half, and he was delivering, slinging the ball accurately to guys that were open all night. And the secondary was getting cooked because there was no pressure from the front seven. This front seven that I praise every opportunity I get, they were non-existent. And then on the offensive side, you saw some life. You saw Patrick was hitting wide receivers quick. You saw a smash mouth, old school style of football from Andy Reid's calling. Isaiah Pacheco was getting the ball a ton, producing a ton. The red zone was a struggle early on that was frustrating as hell to see the Chiefs, instead of getting 14 points, ended up with 6. But you saw them come in that second half, and they answered the bell. And you show that they're going to find life again in this second half, just like they did a week ago, because we all came into this week thinking they're going to build off that week against the Raiders. And then we see what we saw, where the defense finally makes a stop in the second half, finally. And you think, okay, this is it. This is where the game is going to turn. The Chiefs are going to take this lead, and they're going to come away with a victory. And Sky Moore decides that he's going to stop running a wheel route. A 5-yard. Now, first and foremost, I don't know what the hell Andy Reid was thinking by having Sky Moore run that route. I know that he's probably trying to make sense of having Sky Moore on the field, but at this point and at this time, there is no more sense of having Sky Moore on the field. I tweeted it out 30 minutes ago, and I'll say it here. There is no reason why Sky Moore is on the field. He is not a productive player. He does nothing for this offense. He serves zero purpose. This kid is a bust. We have to accept that. You have to turn the page on this kid. Richie James is now healthy. Richie James should be getting Sky Moore snaps. Plain and simple. When you have a kid that is supposed to be proving himself out here to become a legitimate receiver in this offense, a team that's supposed to be trying to win a Super Bowl this year, you have a guy out there quitting on a wheel route. Again, whether he's qualified for that route or not, should not be in that position. I get it. But when you're in the position, you should be giving it your all. And he gave half, at best. But you know what sucks, guys? I would love to sit here and blame that I'd love to sit here and blame the defense, and they all deserve their part of the blame. I'd love to sit here and talk about how stupid Isaiah Pacheco was by swinging his fist at a guy and getting himself ejected on a play that ended up not even being a turnover. The Chiefs ended up keeping the ball, and instead of being on the 35, they ended up back on the 15 because Pacheco decided that he needed to be a tough guy and got himself ejected and lost his team 15 yards with 50 seconds left in the game with no timeouts. This great performance that Isaiah Pacheco put out there for 3.5 quarters, he decided to take it like a piece of paper, wad it up, and throw it in that trash can with that stupid decision. This team is undisciplined, and these are problems they've had all season long. Mental mistakes, mental errors, lack of focus, lack of preparation, and that's why they're currently sitting at the 3 seed. When the Jaguars win tomorrow night, they'll be the 4 seed. The Chiefs will be. But again, I'd love to sit here and blame all that and say those are the sole reasons that the Chiefs took the L tonight. But we all know better. Because we all saw that final drive. We all saw that the Chiefs had not 1, but 2 defensive pass interference calls not go, not get thrown. The refs, once again, swallowed the flags in big moments. And I know people want to say, Lance, refs can't dictate the outcome of games. Did you see that? Because both of those DPIs would have put the Chiefs on the goal line. Even with the lack of heart and want-to on the defensive side tonight, even with the lack of execution from offensive players like Sky Moore and horrific decisions from Isaiah Pacheco, the Chiefs still had multiple opportunities to be on the goal line and take the lead with seconds remaining in this game. And that was taken from them. That MVS DPI is one of the most inexcusable no calls I have ever seen in my life. And you know how you guys know how I feel about MVS. I don't want to ever give that guy an excuse if I don't have to. He had a grown man doing piggyback rides all the way down the field, and there's no flag. Then Travis Kelce in the end zone on the final play of the game gets shoved full extension from the safety. Gets shoved to the right side. Ball goes right where Travis Kelce was, but he gets literally thrown to the right side. No call. And people say, well, it's a Hail Mary, Lance. You can't call it there. Why not? Is it not a play that counts? If Travis Kelce catches that ball, is that not a touchdown? Why does it matter the context of the play or the throw? If it's a legitimate play, if it's a legitimate situation, there should be able to be a legitimate flag. I'm beyond myself because I was prepared to come on here and talk to all you guys and say that this is on the Chiefs completely. The NFL has a real problem on their hands with their officials. And it's getting worse, and it's getting worse, and it's getting worse. You don't want to listen to me about it? Go listen to Louis Riddick, one of the smartest NFL minds in the world. That's literally what he tweeted 15 minutes ago. He said himself, the NFL has to start keeping these refs accountable because there's no penalty. These guys can make horrific decisions like that, and they just go on with their day. They don't have to go and do post-game shows. They don't get questioned on the sidelines during the halftimes. That doesn't happen. They just go into the ether and just disappear and collect their paycheck. The Chiefs were robbed tonight, and the Chiefs did themselves no favors. Let me contextualize and say that. I'm not sitting here saying the Chiefs played a perfect game and the refs just took it from them. The Chiefs screwed up plenty of times. They still had an opportunity to win this game at the end, and that was taken from them multiple times. And I'm very upset about the fact that they lost it all, but the fact that it happened in that way leaves such a lump in my throat because it makes me feel like we can't sit here and talk about the real problems the Chiefs have without addressing that as well, because that is the elephant in the room. Book, you're a former player, man, and I know you're a fan as well, and I know you're probably just as pissed as I am, if not more. I want to get your thoughts on this, man. Let's start with what you took away from the team and what you saw in that final drive from those officials, man.
First of all, I think once again we started the game off just way too slow. You know what I'm saying? We started the game as if we didn't know the game was about to start. The defense gave up way too many running yards. That we didn't look at all like the defense we used to send. Offensively, like you said, I thought they started the game off in a more positive note as had they been, starting the games in the last couple of weeks. But defense was on the field way too long. That time possession was killing us, keeping our most powerful weapons on the sideline. That's going to kill us. We have to be able to get off the ball. We have to be able to get some pressure on the quarterback and definitely stop the run. I thought Pacheco had a great first 3.5 quarters, like you said, running the ball. We got to start giving these guys the plays, the ones that's making plays for us. Keep one of those guys. Stop trying to get Sky Moore in there. I agree with you. This guy, we shouldn't even have to say his name anymore this year. Like, I'm ready to, do whatever we got to do to get that salary cap down or whatever. But this guy, I'm just sick of him. And don't let me even start on Jawan again. I'm tired of talking about this guy. He just crucial. He'll drive killer. He cannot bend at the waist. He can't move his feet. Everybody, all they do is just run right around him, and he rides him to the quarterback. I'm sick of his penalties. I know in scrambling situations, a lot of times you get a holding call like that just because you don't know where the quarterback is, but he can't move his feet. And if I was any defense going up against us, I'd be licking my chops to play against this kid. He's horrible to me. And I'm sorry to say that. And I know we got to depend on him, for the rest of the season, but he's costing us every game in crucial situations. Now, as far as the last drive, I agree with you. The penalties, that was unnecessary not to make those calls. They were blatant. Like you said, he was all over his back. Got there early. Yeah, he got his hand on the ball, but the foul happened way before that. So that should have been a penalty. We should have had the ball down near the goal line of right there within the five-yard line. And the one on Kelsey, that was obvious a push in the back. But again, it's a jump ball type situation. So more than likely, we're not going to get that call. I understand that it is still a foul during an NFL play, but more than likely, we're not going to get that one. But the one before that was easily pass interference. And overall, I just think we look like an average team. Another week of us playing down to the quality of our opponent and not being ready to start this game off. And we deserve that L. We deserved it because we played like we didn't want it. And we got another team next week in Buffalo Bills, and everybody's going to be ready for us. We got to be ready for them. People have started running plays that we normally run in the last couple of years, our plays better than us because we don't have the personnel or the discipline. Like you said, there's no discipline on either side of the ball. None whatsoever. We don't have none of our leaders standing up, taking control of the offense or defensive side of the ball while on the field, being that coach on the field for us. Nobody's stepping up. And we just look like we're in full chaos. And it's going to get harder before it gets better if we don't attack some of these situations as far as the penalties and just lack of finishing plays. And going and sticking to our most consistent players on offense. If guys are making plays for us, keep going to those guys. Stop trying to force other guys to be a part of our offense who's not proving anything. You know what I'm saying? The season's almost over, and we're still trying to figure it out. So I'm all the way around disappointed.
So we lost this game because we were outcoached, outplayed, and basically all facets of a football game can be coached and played. Offensively, the Packers were incredible. Jordan Love maybe had one of his best, if not his best game of his career, especially with what this game was and who they were playing in a primetime spot. Couldn't be more impressed with Jordan Love. He played great, so I got to give him his props. We didn't lose this game because of the refs. We were banking on a play that would maybe possibly get a penalty, and we were chasing 8 points, so we still had to get a 2-point conversion. I get it. We still had a chance to win this game, but we lost this game long before that play, that potential penalty could have occurred. Our defensive line did jack shit tonight. Chris Jones was non-existent for the majority of this game. Meanwhile, the Packers defensive line sacked Mahomes, I believe, 3 times in the first half alone. So we lost this game in the trenches. Anytime you lose the battles, offensive line and defensive line is being outplayed by the opponent, You're not going to win games. And then you lose the turnover battle on top of that with the receiver that doesn't know how to run a proper wheel route and gets picked off. I mean, we continue to look like a mediocre team. This does not look like a team that should be a Super Bowl favorite. This does not look like a team that just won a Super Bowl. This is because this is a different team. It just wasn't impressive all the way around. And then we were costly penalties consistently every week. We're the most penalized offense, or I believe we're up there with the most penalized teams in the league. Definitely have the most penalized offensive line.
Half of those are Juwan.
Even Creed got in the mix today, which was a bad call.
Horrible call.
I get it. But even on that final drive, when we wanted that blatant PI that should have been called, Pat got a penalty go his way that shouldn't have been called either because Pat was still in bounds when he took that hit. And they were trying to protect Pat, and I get it. But, we had one break our way, and then we had one not break our way, which one was very blatant, one wasn't. But at the end of the day, man, as a whole, I look at this game as a collective. We lost this game long before that hopeful PI call to get us on the 1 yard line. We're losing these games early on, and we have no juice. We have no consistency whatsoever. Offensively, we can have a great drive, and there was a couple incredible offensive drives this game. But then the next two are a quick 3 and out, and Pat gets a sack, or Pat takes a coverage sack, in the red zone. He took two coverage sacks in the red zone tonight. Can't do that. We can't do that. You know what I mean? So, and then we would settle for a field goal. They'd go score a touchdown. I mean, Jordan Love was just absolutely just shredding our defense all night, did whatever he wanted to. That's why we lost this game, man. We were point chasing a team, the youngest team in the NFL, the most inexperienced team in the NFL was out there schooling us on both sides of the ball, bro. You don't win those games. It was an embarrassing performance on a primetime spot where Pat, was playing in arguably the most iconic stadium in football for the first time, and we fell flat, and we were hoping for a PI that we didn't get. Screw it, man. We didn't get the call. It sucks, but that's not why we lost. It was an accumulation of things that piled up, and we were trying to save the day with a potential spot to get down there and score.
The only thing I'll say about that, because I do agree that this game, the majority of the blame does fall on the Chiefs side of things, because you could tell from the beginning, and Book was saying it, you could tell that there was just, Juwan Taylor continues to struggle. The wide receivers continue to suck. You're talking about a defense that, again, just decided to lay down against one of the offenses they should have dominated this year. You saw the way they shut down Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown just a couple of weeks ago. You see the way that they shut down wide receiver ones, and they're getting cooked by guys like Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and all these random players on the Packers. No disrespect to these guys. They could end up becoming something decent. But to this point, this is a game that we talked about on Saturday, where this is a team the Chiefs should roll. They should beat by 7 to 14 points.
This is an inexcusable loss.
It is.
Point blank, period. This is the spot where Andy Reid is supposed to go out there and school the young buck coach.
Yes.
This is the spot where Patrick Mahomes goes and shows Jordan Love who the real MVP in this league is, and none of it, Chris Jones to go expose Jordan Love in that offensive line who, name me an offensive lineman on that. I mean, that offensive line, they're missing their left tackle, and it's a so-so offensive line. This is a spot where all of our star players were supposed to show out, and none of them did.
And I want to make sure that we give proper credit to the Packers for going out there and executing and doing their job, because they did. What I want to say, though, is the fact that you can't talk about this game and what took place and how it was decided without the horrific officiating, though. Eventually, sometimes, we can't keep sitting here and saying they don't play their part.
But leading up to that point, I believe we were about even as far as penalty goes. And then Pacheco cost us 15 yards.
The Packers ended up having more penalties than the Chiefs did. My point remains, though, is that both of those were glaring and obvious and blatant penalties that were not called.
Sure, but
if you call those, the Chiefs are on the goal line.
But leading up to that, we had cost ourselves 15 yards heading into that drive to 100%. Begin with, because we have guys throwing punches out there.
That's why I will sit here forever and say that the game was not won and lost off of officiating. What I'm saying is they played their part. They absolutely played. Because let's be real, Book.
You never want that to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure Book will agree with me on this. The Chiefs should have never been in that position to have the refs have to make those horrific decisions.
Right.
It should have never been there. So that's my point, is that once it got there, though, the refs did a terrible job. And these are people that are supposed to stay out of the way. and are supposed to let the players and coaches decide the outcome. That's the point I'm having. That's a problem I'm having, is that once they had an opportunity to stay out of the way at the end and make the right decisions, they didn't. That's what pisses me off about it. But you know what? It does piss me off more that we're sitting here talking about a team that should not have a loss on their schedule who has now 4. This is unacceptable. And it does stem back from everything I talked about from before the season, guys. When you don't give Patrick Mahomes adequate weapons, yes, Rashi is turning into something good. That's 1 wide receiver out of 7.
Bro,
7.
This is the worst loss of the season so far. Because of both the offense had woes in the worst timing possible, another turnover, a costly turnover, and a receiver not doing his job correctly once again, and then the defense fell flat. And then we lost a bunch of guys. This is the worst in a primetime spot. This is, to me, the worst. I mean, I know it's an NFC game, and it doesn't matter as much, and we still have a chance in the AFC, and our division obviously is a wrap in my mind, but the way we lost this game, to who we lost this game to, the inexperience. We're a team that just won a Super Bowl, won 2 in the last 4, arguably the best head coach and quarterback tandem in the league, and we got shown out. We got de-pantsed in front of the world tonight, in front of the most inexperienced, youngest team in the NFL, bro. It's embarrassing.
Book,
absolutely embarrassing.
Book, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question, Book, if that's all right. People are asking me because the fact this is another game that Nick Bolton had missed. Obviously, Drew Tranquill got knocked out early. Jack Cochran did everything he could, but obviously he's not to the level of expectation that you would have those other 2 guys at. We saw real problems in the interior defense tonight. They were getting gashed by the run game, couldn't get pressure on Jordan Love on any real consistency. Right. I don't personally believe that having Nick Bolton out there or not having him out there was the real reason why that took place. Having him out there obviously would have been a big benefit because he's an incredible tackler. The middle of the field would have been a little bit more sipped up. I'm sure it would have helped things. But from what I saw from the guys that they're relying on in that front 7, and I'm talking about mostly the front 4, that was the reason why this defense was struggling so much tonight. It wasn't so much that even Tranquill went out. It was the fact that they could not get pressure with 4. And if we know anything about this NFL, you have to be able to get pressure with 4, and they were not able to do that. Spags had to keep doing those stunt blitzes and those safety and corner blitzes just to manufacture anything for large portions of this game. But what did you see from your perspective as a former player, man? Did you see it the same way, or do you think that, hey, having Bolton out there probably would have been a major factor in this game going in a different direction?
Well, I definitely think Bolton would have been a major difference for us out there because he is what I was talking about earlier. He is that actual coach on the field for us. He gets everybody in the right position, gets everybody mindset right after each play. And that's what I love about him. He's out there as one of our best players and one of our best coaches that we have on this team. And the guys do listen to him. And I think just not having him out there, another thing, it looked like we was cold. Like, I don't know what the temperature was in Green Bay, but it looked like it really played a factor in us not wanting to hit people, wrap people up, even wanting to make a tackle attempt on some of the running backs at some time. So I'll definitely miss Bolton. Can't wait for him to come back. It's unfortunate that we are starting to get a couple of injuries at this crucial part of the season, but everybody goes through that. I hope Cook is going to be okay and he's able to come back, but I didn't see the injury. They didn't replay it where I was at, so I don't know how bad that is. But, we got a lot to fix. And on offense, can we please retire that damn shovel pass? I'm sick and tired of seeing that shit. Like, for real. Let's just put it away. Yeah, everybody knows that we go to that in those situations. Why are we running the same things? We're too predictable. We don't have the ingenuity to adjust to the game as the game is going on. You know what I'm saying? We just go with what we know and don't adjust. And we done lost 4 games. I definitely thought we should have won. Yeah. Most of them have been self-inflicted.
Well, and it doesn't get any easier now because of the fact that the Chiefs have a rested Buffalo Bills team coming to Kansas City, and the Chiefs are going to be licking their wounds all week. I'm not going to play doctor here. I'm not going to tell you guys what is and what isn't. I have a hard time believing that Brian Cook's going to be available for the foreseeable future. It was good news initially that he was questionable for a return initially. That kind of shocked me, I'll be honest. Maybe that was just whatever thing, but I kind of paid attention to that. Then about 20 minutes after that, they did rule him out. But the fact that they didn't cast him up, obviously it was something severe enough for him to be in tears, and the team went out and they all showed their support. So I'm imagining it's a lot more serious than just a little simple sprain. But the fact is, I have a hard time believing that Cook's going to be around anytime soon. Bolton, I know he's going to start practicing. I still think he's probably a couple weeks away. I'm probably thinking Christmas time, maybe right before the Bengals game on New Year's is when Bolton would be back. The thing is, though, man, is that they got to get Tranquil back for this next game, because Josh Allen and his mobility and the way that he can run, you have to be able to have that guy in the middle of the defense to spy. Because if you don't have Tranquil back, man, this is going to be a much more difficult game. And to be honest with you, I have to be the one that says it. The Chiefs no longer get the benefit of the doubt for me. Because I'll be real with you guys, and you can go watch it and you can drag me for it. I started off our show on the Spoken Podcast on the Chiefs-Packers preview, and I looked in the camera and I told the people that I had no worries about this game. I felt like the Chiefs could go in there and show the Packers, build upon that Raiders game, and put on a good offensive performance. The defense is going to go in there, keep the Packers to under 14 points, and get out of here with a victory. But for the second straight time in national television, the Chiefs shit the bed. Straight up. And they don't get the benefit of the doubt from me no more. I'm legitimately worried about this game against the Bills. Legitimately. And they're a banged-up team, but they're rested. They are desperate. They're 6-6. They're not in the playoff picture right now, and they feel really good about the chances against the Chiefs, because more than ever, the Bills see blood in the water. The AFC sees blood in the water around the Chiefs, because to Trevor's point, this is an inexcusable loss. And if I'm going to be honest with you, outside of week 1, every single loss the Chiefs have suffered this season have been inexcusable. Simply put, inexcusable losses the Chiefs have had this season. It's due to a lack of focus, a lack of talent, due to Brett Veach sitting on his hands and not getting a damn wide receiver this offseason. Oh, I'm sure he'll do it after this season. That's great. But like my friend Haley Lewis said from the Big 12 Network, it feels a lot like we're wasting Patrick Mahomes' talent out here, because he's out here and he's wheeling and dealing. Patrick looked really good tonight. You can say that's interceptions on him. I vehemently disagree. There's a route that was stopped on, and as Mike Tirico said on the show tonight on Sunday Night Football, the corner ran the route better. He ran the route better than Sky Moore did. It feels like we're wasting Patrick Mahomes, and this is my biggest fear. I'm not saying it's going to last forever, but guys, you know what else ain't going to last forever? Patrick Mahomes' career. You have only so many shots at this. And we've seen other franchises waste the prime years, the great years of a lot of great quarterbacks. The Chiefs have had some great success. I'm not sitting here saying that hasn't happened. They've won multiple Super Bowls. They've been to 3. They've hosted the AFC Championship every year that Patrick Mahomes has been the starter. That doesn't mean, though, you rest on your laurels and you just expect everything to keep going that way. You have to continue to improve the roster. And Brett Veach did not do that on the offensive side this season. He did not upgrade at left tackle. We don't even know who the left tackle is at this point. Is it Wanye Morris? Is it Donovan Smith? I don't know. They spent $80 million on our guy Vaughn Booker's least favorite player, who is leading the league in penalties with 16. And you sit on your hands multiple times at wide receiver, where MVS has I think one catch tonight. Sky Moore quitting on routes. There are no answers. Rashee Rice, you got to hope that he goes for 100 yards every game now. You got to hope that Travis Kelce can go for 100 yards every game now. It's on 2 dudes. That is insanely unfair. And here we are talking about the same crap every single freaking week, man. It's so frustrating. The Chiefs have scored over 30 points 3 times this year. The following game after that, they averaged 17. That isn't the Chiefs we know. This isn't the Chiefs we know. And it's scaring me a little bit, because now it looks like the defense is starting to bleed a little bit. Because last week against the Raiders, they gave up 14 unanswered to start the game. This game, it looked like the Packers were just going to walk all over them. They only ended up scoring 27 points, but that's a season high. And as the season goes deeper and deeper, this is when Spags is supposed to be getting his defenses better. They're looking worse and worse by the week now. They're not a bad defense by any means. They're still one of the best in the league, but I don't know what happened to that defense that we've had for the first 10, 11 weeks. It just hasn't been the same. And I'm starting to get worried, and this is about as bad of a time it is to have the Bills. And I don't know how you guys feel, but we're about to hand it off to our guy Book because the final segment we have here, Trevor, and I don't know if anybody's said anything on the chat, that I'm sure it's just them echoing the sentiments of us being pissed off. And
It's not pretty.
I've seen somebody on the chat as well on the screen. But Book, I got to hear it from you, man. What do you think is going to happen in this one? Because like I said, the Bills are coming in here hungry, desperate, confident, because they see a Chiefs team that's got a lot of problems on both sides of the ball now. What do you think is going to happen with this one, man? But let's book it with Book.
I think the Bills, like you said, coming off their bye week, they're going to be healthy. They done seen teams come against us and beat us. They know how to beat us. All they got to do is stick around, and we'll figure out a way to beat ourselves. So I think, unfortunately, they're gonna come to Arrowhead. It's gonna be a good close game. But Josh and Mahomes, those guys, they love to go at it. And I think Josh is gonna win this one just because of the extra preparation and so many things that we have to fix before we get to them next week. I don't think we have time or the players to do it. And the coaches, we really got to get back to just coaching these guys and stop being buddy. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's like trying to be cool with your kids. Sometimes you just got to be the father and tell them what to do, and they got to do it. And that's just the end of it. So right now, booking with Book, I got the Bills coming into Arrowhead beating us 24-10.
I would love to be able to disagree with you, but right now, like I told you guys, I don't give the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt. I'd love to be a homer. I'd love to sit here and tell you guys that everything's going to be fine. But this isn't looking like a team that's going to get the 1 seed. I'm just going to be real with you guys right now. At this point, the Chiefs are going to – we're realistically looking at a time that we didn't think was going to be coming anytime soon where we could be seeing Patrick Mahomes playing road playoff games. And saying games at this time is a little arrogant because they got some real problems to fix, like Book just said. We'll see if they fix them. I mean, this is about as good of a coaching staff as there is out there. And they have the best quarterback in the league. I'm not giving up hope completely, but these losses are starting to stockpile, guys. I mean, 4 losses for a Chiefs team through 13 weeks, that's quite a bit. The standard's different around here than it was back in the Alex Smith era, the Elvis Gerbach, or the Matt Castle era. And, I'm just got a loss of words, man. It's a very frustrating night. I know you guys are frustrated as well. So I know I'm preaching to the choir here. We're preaching to the choir here. But we have a Vince session here, and you guys have heard us. We've read yours. We appreciate everybody that's been with us tonight. It sucks that we have to do this. We never like to talk about these things after a loss, but we owe it to you guys to give you our thoughts and our opinions, and we'd love to hear them back from you guys as well. Let's hope that our guy Book is wrong next week, but I totally understand where he's coming from, man. I totally understand, and he may not be wrong. He may not be wrong at all. We'll definitely see them. Yeah, you and I both, man. You and I both. Well, let's try to power through this week, guys. Let's do our best. Follow Trevor and I and Book on social media. You guys see our YouTube channel here. We do this after every single game. We'd love to hear from you guys. Love to hear what you guys have, because I know this is going to be a long week. We're going to have to really sit here and wipe the tears because it's, like I said, this is a rough one, and I agree with Trevor. This is probably the most inexcusable loss on the season. Let's hope this is the last loss of the season, but we'll find out in a week's time. So for Trevor Twidwell, for the 9-year NFL veteran Vaughn Booker, I'm Lance Twidwell. This is Chattin'up, the Chiefs postgame show. We'll see you guys in a week's time. See you then.
Later.
All right.